So right now we're going to start filming a video on planting and assessing your garden growth. So we've actually just planted this garden with a lot of seeds that you may be planting in a spring garden. Some of these are being planted in a summer garden, depending on where you grow and what your garden plan is. And in the back we also have some lettuce seedlings that we just planted a couple different ways. We're going to be checking in on these and seeing how well they've grown. But right now, just wrapping up with the planting string, covering up our last seeds, and the next step will be watering. And one more thing I wanted to point out right here is that we have labeled each of the seeds we put in the ground. Today is April 20th here in Colorado, and so there's one straight row out from all of these, but this garden is fully planted, fully labeled, and so we'll be tracking its growth over the next several weeks. Start watering. Hey guys, so it's been 12 days since we planted this garden. Today is May 2nd right now, and we have our first seeds coming up. We actually saw some of these come up as the first signs of them sprouting as early as 5 days after planting. That was the lettuce right here. We saw a few. And now you can see that it's coming in more fully. All the way down here, all of these are lettuce seeds sprouted. They're really small. Along here we have a few more. We have our first radishes coming up, and we have some arugula right here. So not everything in this garden has sprouted. We still have peas that have not sprouted. Beets, I think we just had seen maybe the first couple beet sprouts. A couple things to note about your sprouts is that they're very, very small. If you're not taking a really close eye to this, it can actually be hard to find them. And so what you need to do is really get down and look for them really closely. Knowing that a few of these have sprouted tells me that I've given this garden really good care. If other things haven't sprouted yet, that's okay. The care we're giving is good, and it's probably, we're just gonna need some more time until these sprout. All seeds take a different amount of time to sprout and start growing, so that's something you can expect in your garden. One thing you can do if you are really curious, you're saying, man, those peas haven't sprouted, I expected them to, but I want to check and just have more confidence. You can always dig down a little bit, and just really carefully scraping off some of the surface here, I can see this little tiny pea sprout coming up right there, and I'm not going to disturb it. That gives me a little more confidence, saying, okay, good, the peas will probably be up in a few days. One thing to note, that this garden is moving a little bit slower than we expected, but we actually got a snow. We had several inches of snow in this garden, and things still grew successful. So things are going well right here. The last thing I wanted to point out is down at this end of the garden. These lettuce seedlings, they're growing well. We have a couple leaves here that actually are showing a little wear and tear and stress. That's okay. When you're looking at your seedlings for healthy growth, you're looking at the middle right in here, and I see really green leaves. It looks like it might be sprouting some new leaves, so I can tell that these are actually growing quite well. They're doing fine, even despite a little bit of graying or dying off of leaves here. So knowing all of this and having actually felt the soil right here, I know this garden needs a little bit of water, so we're going to keep waiting and keep watching this grow and keep watering the garden. Hey guys, it's been 26 days since we planted this garden. It's May 16th today, so we wanted to check in again and see how things are growing. So looking around, things are actually growing really well. A lot has sprouted, everything's come up. There's a few things to note when your seeds come up. The first thing that you're going to see is the cotyledon. Those are actually leaves that were contained within the seed, and they come up first, and each plant has a different cotyledon depending on what variety it is. So take a look at a couple of these. Right here is our radish cotyledon, and it's heart-shaped. It's related to kale, so here's another kale cotyledon, these heart-shaped leaves. The leaves that you will recognize that the plant will grow throughout its life are called the true leaves. So on the kale, this is a true leaf on the kale, and on the radish, this is a true leaf, this is a true leaf. Once you see the true leaves in your garden growing, you know that you've been taking good care, things are growing really well, and actually once they have more leaves out, they're going to continue to grow more quickly and thrive. So If you have true leaves up, you're doing a really great job. One thing I wanted to note is that we lost some peas in here for some reason. We lost some lettuce as well. So I've just gone through and reseeded my lettuce. I'm going to reseed a few more peas right here, pushing them into the ground. I like to reseed along the side of a garden, along the side of where I had planted peas before, just in case more peas are going to come up and I was wrong thinking that they weren't growing well. The sooner that you do reseed in your garden, the better, because those plants will be quicker to catch up to everything else, fill in more fully, and you'll have a more full garden with more full growth. One other thing to point out right here in the back is that each of these lettuce seedlings that we planted, they've grown differently and they've grown at different paces. The reason for this is we actually planted them differently. This lettuce was planted appropriately with all of its roots underneath the ground, and the soil was all flush right here. This one right here, it was actually planted a little too tall up. You can see that some of the roots are still exposed, and it's actually affected the growth. We're gonna have a larger and earlier yield and harvest on this lettuce. This one will be slower to catch up, and our yields will be smaller, probably. So, the last thing I wanted to mention was that at this point in growth, when you see your first true leaves, you know you have good growth, you know your roots have been established, but what you can do to help these plants grow even better is to start watering more deeply. You're not surface watering to germinate seeds anymore mostly. What you want to do is start watering more deeply, so these roots will travel further down into the soil and they'll be more resilient to hot days if you missed a day of watering, and it'll create a much stronger, more vibrant plant. So that's it for checking in right now. We'll check in again on these plants before we harvest them. Thanks. Hey guys, so it's been actually 46 days since we planted this garden. It's looking really lush right now. A lot of this stuff is ready to harvest, and that's 46 days despite it snowing 2 times after we planted this garden. So I wanted to do a quick run through and show a few of the plants that are ready. So starting down at this end, this is our cilantro, and this is ready to harvest. They could grow a little more, but this is a cut and grow again green, so if I came in and cut, it would continue to grow more leaves up. Next up is lettuce. This is a great time to harvest this lettuce. It's probably 4 or 5 inches tall. Again, a cut and grow again green. You can remember I reseeded in here. If we cut all of this down and the kale next, we cut them all down as both cut and grow again greens. On our next harvest, this lettuce might be up with this lettuce and be ready to harvest. The next one is our radishes right in here. We have some radishes poking out, some radishes I think if I dug around might find a little more root. No, maybe a couple of these need more time. But we have some radishes ready, and even I'll point out this radish right here is bolting. It's going to seed, so we want to pull that one up for sure. Next down is the arugula. Arugula this height is perfect for harvest. These peas right here, pinch those tops for the pea shoots, or let them grow another month or so and they begin to flower. Our beets and our carrots are quite a bit behind, and they'll need some more time. But the spinach is ready to harvest, and this spinach you can pull just 1 leaf at a time or cut them all down as well for a cut and grow again green. Dill is in the back here. You can definitely cut all of these greens and they'll grow again. Really delicious additive to a salad. And then in the back we have our head lettuces. And as you'll note, this one has been a little behind in growth the whole time, and this one in the back is a little bit bigger. All of these heads of lettuce we could harvest them right now. That would be great. That's a pretty good harvest. We could also leave them a little bit longer, or if you wanted, you can just pull individual leaves off and eat those as well. So thanks for watching, everyone. This should give you a good set of expectations for how fast your crops are going to grow. They might start out slow, and then they're really going to accelerate that growth towards the end. And so good luck with your harvests. Make sure you clean your produce, weigh your produce, and track all your harvests, and best of luck.